Welcome to Business Reform. I'm John Padfield, and I am an assistant professor of management at Indiana University, where I teach classes in operations management, supply chain management, and data analytics. However, the videos on this channel are separate from my work at Indiana University, and the views expressed are my own. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the tremendous growth in global trade over the past 30 years. Global trade is a very broad term which encompasses countries trading everything from oil and natural gas to agricultural products to manufactured goods. So when we start thinking about how to measure global trade, one convenient way of thinking about it is measuring how many tons of trade are sent on ships across the ocean between countries. When we think about manufactured goods, today nearly all manufactured goods that are traded between countries are transported in what are called intermodal container units, also known as TEUs. That stands for 20-foot equivalent unit, which is nothing more than a cargo container 20 feet long by 8 feet wide by 9 feet tall. What makes TEUs so convenient is they can be loaded onto a ship, and then when the ship docks, cranes can take the containers off of the ship and put those containers directly onto semis or onto trains for them to continue their journey. It does away with any need for opening the container and distributing the contents of the container, so it makes for a very efficient supply chain when companies are shipping things and they can be taken directly from the ship and put onto another form of transportation. You might be wondering just how many TEUs you can fit onto a ship, and obviously the answer is it depends on the ship itself. Over the past 30 years, ships have been getting larger. In 2018, the Ever Given was one of the largest ships on the ocean. The Ever Given gained some notoriety in 2021 when it became lodged in the Suez Canal for 6 days, blocking all traffic through the canal. The Ever Given holds 20,124 TEUs, and in 2018, when it launched, it was the biggest ship on the ocean. But it has since been surpassed by another ship owned by the same company, the Ever Ace, and it holds 23,992 TEUs. It's hard to describe just how big this ship is. Probably the best comparison is if you think about the Empire State Building. The roof of the Empire State Building is 1,250 feet above ground level. But if you took the Ever Ace and stood it on end next to the Empire State Building, it would be 62 feet taller than the roof of the Empire State Building. It's also hard for me to wrap my mind around 23,992 TEUs. That's a huge number. The easiest way to visualize that is to think about taking these 23,000, almost 24,000 TEUs and putting them end to end on a cargo train. That freight train would be 90 miles long if you could put all of those cargo containers on one train. This graph shows the largest ship on the ocean by year, and you can see if we just go back to the 1970s, the largest ship on the ocean was less than 2,000 TEUs. By the time we get to 1990, it was around 5,000, and now by 2020, we're up to over 20,000 TEUs. This tremendous explosion in the size of ships has had numerous ripple effects. We've already seen how the Suez Canal was shut down for 6 days because one ship got lodged sideways. By 2021, we have ships that will hold almost 24,000 TEUs, and there are ships currently under construction that are even larger yet. They just have not launched. These massive ships are creating some problems. They won't even fit through some of the infrastructure that we have, such as the Panama Canal. The largest ship to ever go through the Panama Canal carried 14,424 TEUs. So we're talking about ships that are sailing today that will hold 10,000 more TEUs than will fit through the Panama Canal. This graph shows the growth of global trade over the past 30 years. In 1990, just 32 years ago, global trade, and this is all global trade that comes by ship. This doesn't even include any trade that takes place with trucks running across borders or by air. Ocean-borne global trade was 4 billion tons in 1990. But if we look at 2019, the last full year before COVID hit, global trade was up to 11 billion tons. That means global trade nearly tripled in 29 years, or we could just say that it, for all practical purposes, it tripled in 30 years. These numbers are staggering to me. 11 billion tons. When I think about the population of the Earth is only 7.9 billion people. So what that means is the amount of global trade taking place right now is roughly equivalent to 2,800 pounds of global trade for every man, woman, and child on the planet. 2,800 pounds is such a large number, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it, so I went out and did some internet searching, just trying to find something that weighs about 2,800 pounds for comparison. And what I found was a fully grown 20-foot tall African giraffe weighs about 2,800 pounds. So you can think of it as for every man, woman, and child on the planet, there's an African giraffe's worth of global trade. Now I want to be perfectly clear, I am not opposed to global trade. I am not an isolationist. I do not have a problem with most global trade. Global trade makes sense for a number of reasons. Natural resources vary from one country to another. Some countries are very rich with oil, natural gas, and other resources. Some have diamonds, some have rare earth elements. It makes sense that those countries are going to trade what they have to buy things that they need. Agricultural products, for instance. In the United States in 2019, the United States imported 3.8 million tons of sugar. That's 24 pounds of sugar for every man, woman, and child in the United States. There's a separate video that I could make on whether that's a good thing or bad thing, but the fact is we imported 3.8 million tons of sugar. The following year, we exported 26.1 million tons of wheat. And so the United States does both. We import and we export agricultural products. I have no problem with that. However, in a future video, I'm going to get into more detail about some of the types of global trade that I do have reservations about. If you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share a link with friends that you may have that may be interested in this type of content. Also, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments section below with any suggestions you have about future content you would like to see on this channel. Thank you for watching.